Good afternoon. It is Thursday, May 21st, 2020. We're beginning to see some things opening up around the state and around the country as COVID-19 is giving a little ground to the human race. I certainly hope that we continue to enjoy some of this improvement that we're seeing here. I know that some of the restaurants up north and up in the UP are able to open up, and they'll be allowed to go at 50% occupancy. Not the greatest, but I work with a lot of restaurants, and they were all very, very worried about the 25% thing. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction while we're opening and everything else. The title today and the topic today is going to be about no-fault auto reform, which, as you know, is coming through on July 2nd, and its impact for people 65 and over, Medicare, Medicaid eligible people, and how auto reform is going to affect them. So let's get started. You might recall every time we look at the three decisions that you face. Number one is PIP, personal injury protection. Number two, bodily injury. Number three, who to insure and where. We're not going to touch on number three today, but please be aware as a senior citizen, if your situation is different, maybe you're living with a child or something like that, you're definitely going to want to give your agent a call to find out if your coverages are intact. But today we're going to focus on item number one, personal injury protection, as it affects our seniors. Your options as you approach your decision day are going to be, as you can see here, items 1 through 6, unlimited. Moving down to item number 5, Medicaid can be limited at $50,000 of personal injury protection. Medicare can, in fact, opt out. However, both of them still have the option of going and staying unlimited. That still exists for them. So let's take a look at what impact these things might have. And again, these limits that we're talking about are the medical component of your auto insurance if you were injured in an auto accident. So let's move into some of the laws here. Basically, Medicare and Medicaid are viewed as secondary payers under federal law. In other words, they don't have to pay when a third party, such as no-fault auto insurance, has the legal liability, the first payer liability, leaving Medicare and Medicaid behind them, secondary to them. There's still going to be a secondary payer under the new no-fault law. No changes there, although we may see some other results emerge for people who are choosing less than unlimited coverage. Again, we have to wait and see because the laws and the courtrooms are going to be deciding who's paying along the way. But as you can see, Medicare and Medicaid have always been very aggressive in recouping whatever they paid out whenever possible. We don't expect that approach to change any. I mentioned just a moment ago where Medicare and Medicaid are the secondary payer, meaning they're not the primary payer, meaning we are not allowed to coordinate coverage where our automobile coordinates with Medicare and Medicaid. Our automobile must remain primary for your Medicare, Medicaid users, everyone 65 and older. Everyone 65 and older already has personal injury protection on a primary basis for their auto carriers, or your agent's not doing the right job for you. So there's going to be no change there. The next thing we're looking at, Medicaid, the options that you'll have. And right now we're looking at number 5, Medicaid Limited. Why would you want to do this? The biggest thing is going to be reduced premiums. The negatives, limited coverage, of course, and we'll take a look in just a minute at what you lose by leaving behind your no-fault unlimited medical protection. Here's that list. Not covered by Medicaid, but covered by no fault if related to MVA, motor vehicle accident. Items or services provided I'm sorry about that. Items or services provided by immediate relatives or members, household members, medical equipment, some medical equipment, custodial care, services in a public institution, state hospital, mental disease, self-help devices, all of these not necessarily covered by Medicaid. And you would want to keep no-fault coverage in place if you felt that you were going to need these things. Option number 6 is Medicare. Now, Medicare gives you the ability to completely opt out, where you would pay no personal injury protection medical premium and no MCCA fee. Your savings would be fairly substantial, but your exposure would become very, very great. Very great. And we don't feel as if this is something that we can really recommend unless you've got an alternative form of taking care of yourself that we don't know about. And again, here's what you would be sacrificing where Medicare doesn't cover these items, which no-fault insurance does pick up. Your long-term care, custodial care, whether it be family members or others, most dental care, eye exams, dentures, and you can read the list goes on and on. And if you decide to opt out on the Medicare side as far as your personal injury protection, your limit goes, you would be sacrificing all those things. Again, here are the options. We just went over them a minute ago, but let's talk real quick about this. Unlimited is an option available to seniors over 65 years old, whether or not they are on Medicare or Medicaid. Option number 5, Medicaid eligible people have the ability to take on a limited personal injury protection amount of $50,000. And finally, Medicare people can opt out entirely if they are comfortable that they're not going to suffer any kind of great loss in an auto accident, and they just want to save the money. So what you're going to want to do is give us a call over here so that we can discuss these options with you, how they impact you, what are some of the pros and cons that we can address beyond just a 10-minute live presentation. Again, we're talking about a fairly simple decision going forward. As I've said many times before, you have 4 main topics. The 2 primary decisions, the first one being PIP, the second one being bodily injury liability, which we've discussed before and we'll discuss again. And finally, the 4th item here, savings that you can recoup depending on the decisions that you make. There's a phone number where you can reach us over here at the Browne Agency, 248-486-1831. You can also email me at dbrowne@fbinsmi.com. And also you can find us on Facebook, Doug Browne and Doug Browne Agency, and contact us through that location as well. Again, we're out here every day learning more and more about no fault so that we can help you be the guide and help you make the right decisions for your family as we move forward from right now is a pretty interesting situation with COVID, but as we move into a time period where no fault auto reform will hopefully save us a couple of bucks along the way. That's it for today. This is Doug Browne with Farm Bureau. I appreciate your taking the time out here to sit down together. Take care.